Hey all, thank you for hanging with me. Jeannie Andreessen here, and it is not a true live if you don't have tech issues. Am I right? Today we're talking about asking for money part two. This one is going to be a very good one, I promise you, because we are talking about how to ask for money during your design projects. And the reason why we are talking about this today is because I have a lot of these conversations with my clients. My clients, at least once a week, we are talking about charging effectively. We're talking about, how to make sure we're not undercharging, this idea of charging too much and making sure we're not charging too much. All of these conversations come up over and over again, time and time again, whether it's in a group coaching setting or my private coaching. We're talking about money at least. I'm talking about money at least once a week with my clients, and I'm coaching through it. So today we're talking about how to ask for more money during your design project. And this is a part 2 of 2. So last week we talked about how to ask for money, and we talked about what we think about money and money beliefs and how to get to a place where we feel confident and comfortable asking for the dollars that we deserve on our projects and in our design fees. I intentionally had that come first so that by the time we got here for part 2, that you feel more confident in kind of what the next step of this process looks like. So often with my clients, everybody is wondering how to make sure that they charge effectively, and they always want to know how someone else is charging. And when I've asked the deeper question behind that, why are you curious about that, or why is this coming up for you? It usually comes back to because I don't feel that I charge effectively, because I don't know how to charge effectively. I feel like every time I have a new project, I am guessing, I am making it up. And if that is the reason why we're wondering why other people or how other people charge, then I want to just share with you that nobody ever knows how to charge a project effectively from the very beginning. There are things you can do to get better at charging effectively. There are things you can do to have a better or stronger, what word am I looking for? Not proposal, estimate. So that you can have a more accurate estimate. There are things you can do to make sure that you have a more accurate estimate. But there are always going to be things that come up during a project that adds more hours to your plate. And then we have that question of, do we charge for this? Do we not charge for this? And I want to make sure that I get you to a place where you are confident charging for it, if it makes sense and if you deserve to be making that money. So, okay, it's not surprising that so many designers get to this part in their design phase where they realize that they may have undercharged. They realize that there's 30 hours of work left, but only 10 hours left really in the budget. And it's just not surprising that a lot of designers don't do anything about that. Why does that not surprise me when I am like, Queen, make the money that you deserve? Why does that not surprise me? It is because it takes a lot. It takes an art and a science to all of this. We're going to talk through the art and science to asking for more money. We're going to talk about that today. But it essentially involves data. It involves forethought. It involves admitting that you were wrong, potentially, and it involves the actual ask of asking for money. So when you take a look at that and you're like, okay, so to ask for more money, well, it takes data, forethought, admitting you were wrong, and asking for money. No wonder why you're running away from this. None of that is fun. The only fun part of that is actually receiving money. But if it takes all of those things to really make more money, and it's money that you deserve, then how can we get stronger in each one of those pieces so that we are not shortchanging ourselves. You have a choice. You absolutely have a choice. You have a choice of not asking for money that is fair and deserved to you, or you have the choice of, or I guess I should say and you have the choice of, which one did I just say? Asking for it, or did I say not asking for it? But you have the other choice, not asking for it. So you can ask for it or you don't have to ask for it. You have a choice. But regardless, I want to prepare you to be able to ask for it if it makes sense and if it is deserving that you are to ask and be making more money in your project. So why does this take place? Why are we always underestimating ourselves when it comes to our projects? Or, why is this so challenging? Sometimes you will receive a project inquiry and it's going to be very similar to a project that you've already done, which makes it pretty easy to estimate the hours. And I'm going to push back because you might be saying every single project is different. Yes and no. Of course, every project is different, but there are similarities among projects. There are similarities among sizes of rooms and what the client wants. There are similarities. That's all that I'm saying, is there are similarities. So sometimes it's going to be easier to estimate a project than others because you've done it before, right? Awesome. So when does it become challenging? It becomes challenging when we have not done it before and when it is a much larger project. The larger the project, the more challenging it is to estimate because more can go wrong, and because there is more to be furnishing, there is more construction to be involved. It just becomes more challenging. I want to share with you, back when I first started working with designers, I had a client come my way who said that they were interested. They were struggling with one of their, actually their only design assistant. They were struggling with their design assistant. Things were just kind of not working. She didn't know if it was her fault, if it was the design assistant's fault, just in terms of why isn't this person succeeding at the level that she wanted? And so I have tons of experience in managing employees and training employees, lots of experience in that. And I asked a few more questions and realized, okay, this person may not be the right fit, but also the training could have been much stronger and their onboarding could have been much stronger. And that's when we had the conversation about me creating a new hire onboarding training program for her. And that's essentially, I was like, yeah, I could totally do that. That makes the most sense, especially with my experience. And that is something I offer today. So if you go to my website, that is one of my programs that you can enroll in, is new hire training and onboarding. I create a training program and onboarding program for you to make sure that your design assistant or your new hire, whoever it is just has the highest probability of success because you've trained them effectively, you've managed their expectations well, you've set goals effectively, so on. When this first came my way, I did not know how to price it. How would I know how to price it? I've never done it before. Have I created training programs before? Yeah, for my own employees in the past, but I had never done it before for somebody else and for, a different role. I didn't know how to price it, but I took a guess. I jotted some things down and I put a number out there that felt good to me, that felt like I would be pretty close to being in the range. And I tracked my hours effectively to cross-check, because I, for lack of a better word, I would say I charge flat rate when it comes to my programs. Again, I do coaching, very different than what you do, but just to make it easy, I don't track my hours and then bill for them. I really charge flat rate for my programs. But how did I get there? By putting out there, I believe it'll take this amount of hours, which wouldn't be this investment. She was on board. I went into it. I tracked my hours. I realized that I was about, let's say, 4 hours short, or maybe it was 2 hours, something like that, 2 to 4 hours short. I did not eat that money. I reached out and I said, hey, I still have about 2 hours of work left to do. We have one meeting and I have about, an hour left to finish this project out. Are you comfortable with me invoicing you for that? And she said, yes. I walk you through that because I want you to know that that might have been on a smaller scale, but you are not alone in not knowing how to price something. But you can always eloquently approach this conversation and be able to ask for more as the project has already begun, as you're deep in it, as you've been, gotten it started already. There is an art and a science to asking for more money in your business after the project has begun. The art is setting yourself up to ask for more. It's noticing when you are going to go over in hours, when the hours you quoted do not match the amount of hours left to complete the project. And it is presenting it effectively. That's really the art to this. Now, the science to this is doing math. It's tracking your hours effectively. It's auditing your projects once your projects are complete to get a sense for how many hours you went over per what you quoted from your clients. That is the science to this. So how do we do this effectively? Let's start from the very beginning. Before the project, when you are pricing the project out, when you are putting an estimate for your hours out, I want you to review the last 3 to 5 projects you've done. This is actually a step in my Confident Charging Guide. So if you have not downloaded my Confident Charging Guide yet, head to the link in my bio and snag it. Or comment guide and I can DM it to you. But go back and review the last 3 to 5 projects that you've completed that are as similar as possible to this one, to the one that's on your new one that's presented to you. And I want you to look at what you proposed in hours. What was the estimate? And what was the actual result? Did you estimate 40 hours and it was actually 50 hours? Did you estimate 40 hours and it was actually 100 hours? Did you estimate 40 hours and it was 40 hours? Look at 3 to 5 projects and do that math so that you can start getting to a percentage of how close or far off you are from your estimates. Because if you review the last 3 to 5 and you find that you are typically 20% over in hours than what you estimated, you can then start adding that onto your estimates, not even communicating to your clients, oh, I typically go over, so I'm going to add this in. No, you just get better at estimating. You only get better at estimating by doing this math. If you are not doing this math, you are always going to feel insecure when you're pricing your projects. Always, without a doubt. So it does take doing math. But I hope this but is exciting to you because it's temporary, kind of. The better you get, if you were to estimate your hours, track your hours, audit your hours afterwards for 3 to 5 projects, you are only going to get better at estimating projects accurately. And from there, you are going to be able to start confidently estimating your projects and getting closer to the reality of it. And that is how, this isn't a whole conversation about how to go flat rate, but that is how people start to go to the flat rate energy and no longer tracking their hours. Now, all of that said, people who go flat rate should still be tracking their hours to make sure that they're coming out ahead. Again, not meant to be a conversation about how to go flat rate. So here's let's start kind of again, taking a step back before you decide on your proposal, before you submit your estimate of hours. You're going back, you're looking at data, you are seeing, what percentage you're typically off. So let's say it's a 10% you're typically off by. You're going to add that 10% in, and you are going to ask for that amount of hours. So where does that come in? How do we do that effectively? By building the confidence to ask for a larger dollar amount. If you take a look at those hours and that dollar amount that you'd be asking for in design fees, and you incorporate the additional 10% in there, or the additional 20% in there, and it makes you want to throw up asking for that amount of hours, that is where you need to go to work, because that is only hurting you and your clients, because you are going to intentionally not be transparent in how many hours it's going to take, and that's not good for anybody, especially if you're coming back in the long run and asking for essentially them to pay you more hours. So we want to be as transparent and honest as possible, and that is where it starts. That is where it starts. If you have not tracked your hours in God knows how long, odds are you are under earning, and it just depends on how significantly you're under earning. So two best apps that I've learned of for time tracking are Toggle and Harvest. If you're not using either of these or anything, look into them. Definitely look into them. Okay, so build the confidence to ask for the larger and more accurate number, because you know that it's going to be a more accurate number. Next thing you want to do, and this is really as this project gets started, is, well, when you're asking for that number, you're giving a range. Hey, it's really going to be, and I would have that lowest number be that number with the 10% hours included in it. And then I would say 2 here and have that be a range. So they have a heads up that it is not for sure locked in going to be 40 hours. It's going to be 40 to 60 hours. I'm going to do my best, is what you're going to say. I'm going to do my best to get as close to 40 as you can, because I want this to be in everyone's best interest. But you have noticed that things come up during projects that could make this a 60-hour project. Okay? That's how you are going to be positioning this. And you're going to say, so I want you to be comfortable with these two numbers. And they are going to say, amazing, we are, sounds good. Try to get it to 40 hours. And you're going to say, I promise I will, but I can't make any promises. That's what you're going to say. This is all just like meant to be relationship building and honesty and so on. So amazing. If you've set yourself up for that, then we get into the project and we realize, wait a second, there's only 10 hours left in the 60 hours, and it's going to take another 20 hours to complete this project. And that is when we circle back to ask for more money. So how do we do this well? Well, I'm going to start with telling you that you've got to be tracking your hours, and you've got to be noticing this early. The moment that you realize that there is 10 hours left in the hours you've estimated, and it's going to take 30 hours more, there's 30 hours more of work to be completed. Once you notice these things, that is when we go to work on what is our plan to communicate this effectively. We don't just say, oh, boo-hoo, this sucks, I did it wrong again. I guess I'm going to be under earning again. I don't know how to price projects out. I'm clearly really bad at this. How's everybody else doing this? How everyone else is doing this is they take every single opportunity, every project, and they use that as a learning, and they also are communicating effectively if they notice that something is off. That's how everyone else is doing this. Everyone else who's running a business effectively, that's how they're doing this. So when you notice that there's 30 hours left of work, but only 10 hours left in the 60-hour that you've communicated. When you notice that, your goal is to give ample notice and craft a plan. So get clear on why this is happening. Like, what happened here where we were 20 hours off? What happened? Because that's what your client is going to want to know. Do not assume your client knows that, because they do not know. So get clear as to why this is happening. Is this happening because you underestimated? Fair enough. That could be the answer. Is this happening because something came up on this project? There were 3 or 4 fiascos that took place that ate up your hours. Fair enough. But your clients are going to want to know why this is happening. So it's good. You have to get clear as to what that reason is. Did something come up, or did you just underestimate? And how did you underestimate by 20 hours? Get clear on that. That doesn't mean we have to communicate it to the client, but you get clear on that. So once you're clear on what exactly happened, that's when you can decide, am I asking for more money from this client, or am I eating this as and just learning? Now, here's what I want to offer to you, because today's topic is asking for more money from your projects during your projects. That's what today's is. However, there are going to be times where you're like, okay, I'm 10 hours off, and it's my fault because I was not efficient, because I didn't double check this thing, because, this happened and it was my fault. And you may say, I'm going to eat this. This is just going to be on me. I don't need to communicate a thing to the client, because I'd much rather let them feel that I completed this accurately with these 60 hours. And I'm just going to use all of these things, these 3 things that I could have prevented. I'm going to use those as a learning and make sure that the next project, they don't happen, or I'm more on top of this. Fair enough. I respect that. And I am not saying like, no, go out there, go ask for more money. No, there are going to be times where it makes sense not to, but there are going to be times where it makes sense to. And those times are going to be times in which you will know that this is to no fault of your own. Sure, you may have slightly underestimated, but it's really to no fault of your own. It's just what came up in the project and where your time needed to go. Maybe the clients changed their mind 16 times. Guess what? That's going to cost money, and that should not be money that you are eating. It should be money that they are paying. So if that is the reason why, let's use that just to have something concrete as I share this example. Let's just use that. When the client is changing their mind for a 3rd time, we are communicating. Again, this is going to be earlier on, because that's usually when it takes place, is like probably the first 1/3 of this project is when they change their mind and all of that. We are communicating to them, hey, I will totally make this change, but I want you to know that that is additional hours that fall into this 40 to 60 hour range I gave you. And so we may end up going over because of this. Is this that important to you? And they're going to say yes. And you say, awesome. Like, that's all I needed to know. So now we're at the point where we're reaching, there's 30 hours left, 10 hours that we quoted. And that's when we decide that we have that conversation. And as long as we have reasons and we have ample notice, your client should be very receptive of this. That conversation will likely go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Client, I wanted to connect with you, as I had quoted that this project will likely be 40 to 60 hours of my time in design fees, and we are currently at about 50 hours. Pause. You are basically providing contrast. You're providing context and contrast when you're doing that. So we're currently at 50 hours. That said, we likely have about 30 hours left of work, which would leave about 20 hours that I would still need to complete this project. Here are a couple of reasons why this is. And you're going to bullet point out 10 hours went to, changing your mind here, and you're not going to say you. So you're going to say, making changes to these selections, sourcing for the new rug, and you're going to just point out where 10 hours went that you were not planning on. And then there may be another 10 hours in there where something came up in the project that could not have been prevented no matter what. And you will point that out too. About 10 hours went here, and you are going to sell them in the sense of, I'm so glad we solutioned that. All is good. This is something that never could have been anticipated, but I'm really glad that we're at a place where now we're able to move forward. All of that said, there's still about 20 hours remaining, which would be about, let's say you're billing $200 an hour. 20 hours, $200 an hour, that's $4,000. I know that because I did that math before hopping on here. Because how many times have I started to do math and I'm like, wait, where's my phone? Because I'm trying to do that math. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm on my phone. Silly me. Okay, so you were going to say that's going to end up being about $4,000. Is this something, we don't have, and you're going to kind of say, like, we don't have an option here. You're going to say that in so many words. Like, I know that we don't really have an option because we want to finish this out. I merely just wanted to communicate this with you and be as transparent as I possibly can, so that we all feel very good about completing this project effectively. Please let me know if you have any questions, but I hope all of this makes sense. And you always, always offer to hop on a call. My clients cannot stand when 9 out of 10 times when there is some sort of conflict, I'm like, offer to hop on a call, offer to hop on a call. Why can they not stand that? Because nobody wants to hop on a call. It's not about actually hopping on a call. It's about always offering that you are confident enough to have tough conversations. So you are going to say in almost every email that has a little bit of confusion in it for the client, or could be a little bit of a conflict, you are always going to say, I'm happy to hop on a call and talk through this with you, if that makes sense. And that is how you ask for more money later on in a project. Now, as I mentioned, there are times where you will be tracking your hours and realize that the reason why you underestimated is all on you. You messed this up, you made a mistake here, you overlooked this thing, you spent too much time here. That is not your client's fault, and you know that. You are not asking for more money on things that are learnings for you. When you have a new staff member that joins you, you are going to be taking time to train that person, and things may take longer than they traditionally would if you are the one that is doing that task. But you are not billing for that extra time. You are billing for the time it takes for you to do the task. You're not billing for that time that it takes for your design assistant to learn the task. If you're tracking in that way, you may look at this and be like, holy moly, I really underestimated. No, we're not asking for money there when it's not in everybody's best interest, essentially. So when you track your hours, that is where the kind of questions you want to ask yourself when you're noticing, whoa, we're way off. Why is that? Why are we way off? How did we end up being way off on this? You are asking yourself those thoughtful questions to then get to a place of, okay, am I in a position to position myself for more hours to make more money on this project? Or do I consider this a little bit of a wash and it's a big, big learning? No matter what you do, you are taking this as a learning, always, no matter what. It is getting so dark in Chicago. And I think even my ring light is like dying. So this is super. Okay. But that is how you ask for more money during a project. Why? Let me kind of land the plane. Why did I want to do this live so badly? Because time and time again, I'm talking to clients who are all confused about how to price a project accurately, when I really believe that what they're confused about is how to go and ask for more money from a project when we're over hours because of things that aren't your fault. And that's why I wanted to walk through this, because you can ask for more money on your projects. You can make more money on the projects. And how to get better at this, is the only way is by constantly, with every project, tracking your hours against the hours that you communicated, proposed, and estimated. I'm sorry, that is the only way you get good at this. So if the thought of that is miserable to you and you dread it, then you have a choice on either doing that and making more money, or not doing that and never knowing how much money you're making, if you're undercharging, overcharging, estimating effectively or not. You have a choice. But I also want you to know that you have a choice in asking for more money later on and communicating to the client this is going to be more hours, and doing that in a way that works for everybody and has everybody feel that no trust was lost, or not doing that. And I always lean towards owning your role, the confidence you have, being in charge of your own business, and having tough conversations and get really good at them. But that's just me. This is your business. You get to decide what you want to do. All right, 2 things as we wrap up. If you have not yet downloaded my Confident Charging Guide, head to the link in my bio and download it. So many have. I mean, I feel like it's been like a couple hundred people have. And so head to the link in my bio, grab my Confident Charging Guide, because this is one of those first items in my Confident Charging Guide is look at a past project, look at your last few projects. Did you undercharge? If so, tack that additional amount of hours in here from the beginning and ask for that from the beginning. So snag that if you haven't yet. Also, you would be surprised at how I am able to help my clients charge effectively, or bill effectively too, but more or less charge effectively and price out projects from the beginning. You would be surprised. That is a lot of the work that I do. And I'm sharing that with you because I've opened my calendar to do clarity calls. And if you head to the link in my bio, you can find a link to book a clarity call with me, where you and I hop on for 45 minutes, and anything that is daunting to you, overwhelming to you, stressing you out, that you need clarity on and you need someone's help on, you can head to the link in my bio. You can schedule time with me and I will help you through it. I will help ask you questions that will get you to a place of clarity, where we can strategize together on how to price something effectively. So you can find that at the link in my bio as well. That is what I have for you today, friends. Thanks for hanging with me through the tech issues. This month, we're going to be talking a lot about process. This month, we're talking a lot about process. We're going to talk a lot about the client onboarding process this month. So if that's something that you want to strengthen in your own design business, hang with me. Every Tuesday at noon, something is going to be in regards to the client process in the month of April. All right, I'm parched. Any questions? I'm like, let me take a look at this. Any questions? Okay. Looks like a lot of you joined this one, which I love. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me a DM. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week, same time, same place. Take care, friends. Bye.